Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video where today I'm going to be doing something which is highly requested and it's something that I get asked quite a lot. What are the best formations? What are my favorite formations? So I just wanted to share with you what I think the best three formations are right now. Obviously the new Weekend League Plus objective is here for this Weekend League, which for most people probably, doesn't really matter because those team of the week cards are probably not going to be getting into most people's teams. But if you're someone who does want to play Weekend League and does want to know what the best formations are today, I'm going to be sharing with you what I think. These are, in my opinion, the best three. Now, in this list, I'm going to be excluding like the 5-3-2 because I don't want to be advocating for those type of formations because, the way that everybody's playing with those formations, especially at high level of FIFA, is a very negative defensive style of play. So I don't want to advocate that style of play, even though it is a very, popular and meta formation. I don't want to show people that and spread the word and make it worse than it is for maybe casuals who aren't using it. So we're going to be excluding that off today's list. Now, the first formation for me today is this 4-2-2. Now, these aren't necessarily in any particular order. These are just what my favorite three formations are, what I think are the best three at the moment that I've used. And starting off, we have got the 4-2-2. Now, we did kind of do a breakdown of this in our last video, so we'll just do a quick run through. If you want to check it out in a more detailed format, you can go and check out that video, and that will give you a deeper breakdown. We've gone for balanced on the defensive style, super high depth on 7, long ball on the offensive style, and then sort of the width, we've gone a little bit narrower to get those sort of wide cams involved. And then the instruction-wise, we've gone for Rooney dropping in on the false 9, Cruyff just on the stay central and getting behind, and then Dybala and Fernando Torres, the wide cams, are on just free roam. We then got Seedorf and Kimmich, both cut passing lanes and stay back while attacking, and then the two fullbacks are on balance. So the 4-2-2 for me is a really good formation. It's a formation that I've used for a long time, and it's something I would recommend to anybody who just is looking for a formation that can just be really fresh and just really good in lots of formations and lots of situations. For me, the 4-2-2 is one of those formations where I've been able to use it when I'm leading, when I'm behind in a game. It works in all different situations. It's very, very adaptable, and it just does a brilliant job, in all facets of the game. I find it to be, it's ebbed and flowed as being my favorite formation. It's never kind of dropped out of my top 3 favorite formations this year. It's a formation I've been using pretty much since like August when I was playing on the beta. So I've just got super used to using this formation, and regardless of patches and things like that, I've just always found a way to make this formation work. So the 4-2-2 is one of my favorite formations at the moment. The next formation is the 4-2-3-1. Now, the 4-2-3-1 has been really, really popular for many, many years now in FIFA, and it wasn't really so popular this year so far. It hasn't really been that popular, but it's kind of come back into fashion. Really, I've noticed this latest patch is when kind of the 4-2-3-1 has become a popular formation again. Again, we did do a breakdown of this formation the other day, so if you want to see a more in-depth sort of breakdown, you can go and watch that video. But the 4-2-3-1, like I said, it's a formation that's really come back to popularity in the last couple of weeks. Like I said, since the new patch, it's just the way it sets up has now kind of become popular as the game has, I guess, become a little bit more defensive because they keep nerfing attacking styles of play, and defensive styles of play don't really get nerfed. At the start of the game, when the game was kind of very open and very much about attacking, 4-2-3-1, which is quite a, you could say, a defensive formation, the way it sets up, wasn't really very popular in that attacking style. But as they nerf the attack, certain parts of attacking and skill moves and whatnot, these more defensive type formations that are difficult to break down are kind of coming into fashion again. And the 4-2-3-1 is one of those. It's very, very popular in that regard. These are the tactics and instructions I've been playing with this. Very, very basic and standard. Again, balanced and long ball. Depth a little bit lower. Width pretty much standard. And then the instruction-wise, Rooney stay central, getting behind. Cruyff on free roam. The two wide cams just on balance this time. And then Kimmich and Seedorf cut passing lanes and stay back. And then the two fullbacks on stay back while attacking. This is a formation that I typically will use if I'm up against somebody who is a good player. If I'm playing someone who I know is good opposition, I'll switch into this formation, because if they're good, that means they're going to be able to exploit certain holes and certain areas that I may have in other formations. For example, the 4-2-2 is a good formation, but For example, it doesn't have that central cam where Cruyff is. So my opponents, if they're using a single CDM or two CDMs, there's no one that's going to be stood on them to mark them. So they're going to have like easy possession. I'm going to have to then pull one of my wide cams or one of my DMs forward. And then it's just going to become a little bit easier for them to play out from. So a good player will be able to exploit those spaces. So that's when I use something like 4-2-3-1. It's just against good opposition, someone who is, I know I can feel is like a good player. That's the sort of formation. If I'm playing someone I know I'm better, this is not the best formation. When you're playing someone who you know you're better than, a more attacking formation is definitely the way to go. And then the third and final formation for me is this 4-3-3-4. Now I was actually lucky enough as well I had this yesterday in a draft, and I had a stinker of a draft. Like I had it was literally, I think, a 184 was the team rate. It was one of the worst drafts I've ever had, considering the stage in FIFA. And I had this formation, and it was just a banger of a formation. It was just like 4-3-3-4 is one of those formations that I've been enjoying. Just generally, it's been a formation that's been one of my favorite formations in FIFA, but haven't really found it to be that great this year. Last year, this was, I think, my favorite formation, the 4-3-3-4. But this year, I haven't really found it to be that great of a formation. I haven't really found it to be what I've been looking for. However, since this new patch, this is one of the formations that I use. If I want to just be really attacking and this is a really fun formation. If you're someone who wants to just have fun, I would advise this is a great formation for people who just want to play to like 14 wins. If you're someone who just wants to get up to 14 wins, and maybe that's it, this is a great formation because it's just fun. And if you're playing to 14, like if you're someone who is a goal one player, you can get to 14 wins pretty easily. It doesn't really then matter what formation. It doesn't matter if you sweat it out in a 5-3-2 or if you have a bit of fun in a more attacking formation like this. And in terms of the instructions, these are the instructions that I have been using. I'll be using press on possession loss. Like I said, I want to be in my opponent's face. I want to be attacking. I want to be aggressive. And this is a great formation to do that. And press after possession loss, just very, very effective still in FIFA. It's not necessarily my preferred style of play. But like I said, if I want to just kind of have a bit of fun and just be aggressive, this is obviously a great tactic to use. Keeping that depth and width quite high, because obviously you want to be a little bit higher at the pitch. You want to try. A press doesn't work if you have a really low depth because you're starting from such a low position. So a press will work a lot better the higher up you are. So playing on a sort of like 7-8 depth, playing on press after possession loss, it works really, really well. Offensive style long ball as always. And we want to have a little bit wider in terms of our offensive width because obviously we're using like a 4-3-3, so we're using wingers. So you want to utilize those wingers. We'll be able to get them into potential goal scoring opportunities when we get into the instructions. And then obviously players in the box, corners and free kicks pretty much got on the standard stuff. In terms of the fullbacks, Alexander-Arnold and Davies, we actually have them on stay back while attacking. Now the reason why, even though we're going to be playing this in like an attacking sort of offensive style, is because we don't have any CDMs. You really don't want to run the risk of having your fullbacks going forward as well, because you're just going to leave yourself really exposed. Because those two midfielders, even if you have them on stay back, because they're midfielders, they won't drop like right in front of a back four because they're not CDMs. They'll only kind of like drop so far. So when the fullbacks are higher up the pitch, you can just easily get countered. So because of that, we're going to have the fullbacks on stay back while attacking. The midfielders, Seedorf and Kimmich, we're just going to have on cover centre and stay back while attacking. Because we don't want them going forwards, but they are still going to drift forwards. Because of the way the instructions in this game kind of plays, in certain areas they do kind of ignore their instructions. And when you have these guys, if you just have them on balanced, it can make it really easy for your opponents to kind of counter you, because not only are they high up the pitch, you're also going to have to like drag your centre backs out or full backs out because your midfielders are out of position, so they're just straight into your back four, and then you're going to start pulling your defenders out. Rooney have on free roam as always. Free roam just works super well. And then the central striker Cruyff, stay central and get behind, want to utilise that pace. And then Fernando Torres want getting behind and cut inside. We don't want to use him on anything other than that. You don't want to have him on like coming back on defense or anything like that. It's just not necessary. This formation, like I said, is primarily just about attacking, and that cut inside technique on those wingers will get them involved and get them into goal scoring opportunities and positions. So they are my top three formations that are, the best right now in FIFA. I think this is, these three formations, probably my favorite formations at the moment. Like I said, a couple of the 5-back formations are good at the moment and overpowered. And I'm sure other people will have like other formations that they think are really good. 4-1-2-1-2 narrow is really good. I know the 3-5-2 is a real banging formation as well. So there's lots of good formations at the minute, and I think that's the thing about FIFA at the moment is there are a lot of good formations. There is kind of not really too many one dominant formations at the moment. Obviously, the 5-3-2 is super popular at the minute, but we don't want to advocate that real negative defensive style that a lot of people are playing at the moment. So they are my favorite 3 formations at the moment. So do let me know in the comment section what your favorite ones are. Do drop a thumbs up. Make sure you join the Discord if you do want to get better at FIFA. I'm super active in there. We're coming up to 350 members, which is amazing. So make sure you join down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.